The day before my first corporate job, my best friend in the entire world died. There were no warnings, no goodbyes. He was gone. I was 23, and suddenly the suit that I'd been looking forward to putting on felt ridiculous. This woke me up. I realized that there was one certainty in this world. We are all going to die. And one uncertainty. We don't know when. Going into my corporate job, I questioned everything. Penny's death meant that doing things simply because that's the way they had been done before, or because everybody else was doing them, wasn't good enough. I had to have reason behind everything. I had to know why I was doing it. I had to find purpose. I quickly came to the obvious truth that the corporate job wasn't for me. I got together with some friends from university and we decided to start a project. This wasn't going to be about the success we might receive, and it certainly wasn't going to be about the money. It had to be for the bigger picture of Aotearoa. 80% of our bird species are threatened with extinction. New Zealand, Aotearoa, was once a land ruled by birds. There were no land mammals. The truth is that once these birds become extinct, they don't get a second chance. 25 million native birds are killed every year by introduced pests such as rats, stoats, and possums. This is the greatest challenge that our native birds face. Aotearoa is like no other place on Earth. I love our home, and I believe we have to be kaitiaki of the environment. I couldn't just sit on the sidelines and watch our native wildlife perish. This is not an issue that we can leave up to a handful of organizations and small community groups. It's going to take an entire nation to help solve this. So we asked the question, how can we save as many birds as possible while engaging as many New Zealanders as possible? From this, Squawk Squad was born, a web app that allows anybody to sponsor a trap towards a conservation project. When they do, and their trap catches something, they get a live notification from that trap, letting them know that they've trapped a pest. This means that anybody in New Zealand can take part in a predator-free New Zealand, helping save our native birds. We wanted to revolutionize conservation. This was my vehicle for purpose. I got together with my Squawk Squad co-founder, Alex, and we dove straight in to creating our first startup, our first social enterprise. We had all the energy and enthusiasm in the world. We even had Alex's aerospace engineering skills, and still, we had no idea. We looked for support bouncing around in the conservation space. We told everybody and met with everybody, told them how we wanted to revolutionize conservation. It was funny that despite a lot of head nodding, interest, introductions, these backwards capped skateboarders weren't quite taken seriously. They loved our enthusiasm, but there was little follow-through. So we decided to show and not tell. We set out on a crowdfunding campaign to raise $20,000. Instead, over 1 month, we received an overwhelming amount of support and $70,000 raised from New Zealanders across the country that believed in helping save our native birds. Now Squawk Squad is across 3 conservation projects nationwide, and we're currently funding our 4th. As we approached our launch, we decided to create a digital education pack for Conservation Week 2017, with the aim of every Kiwi kid taking their learnings back to their whānau and their friends. With a series of Facebook videos, we released the pack, and we even promised every teacher that their classroom would receive free Squawk Squad Ranger wristbands if they signed up in the first week. After the first week, we had 25,000 children sign up. We thought we might only get a couple thousand. And we had absolutely no idea how we were going to fund 25,000 wristbands. That's another story. After 3 weeks, we had 40,000 Kiwi kids signed up. We only topped this in 2018 by giving out 25,000 Google Cardboard virtual reality headsets to children across Aotearoa. In terms of numbers, we did in 3 weeks what the Department of Conservation has been trying to achieve for 10 years. This is revolutionizing conservation. Educating our nation is just the beginning. The real impact happens when our tamariki take action. We had entire classrooms sell produce from their vegetable gardens at farmers markets. We had whole schools run bird-themed mufti days. We had classrooms make and sell beeswax wraps while simultaneously eliminating plastic from their lunches. And we had multiple classes pitch business ideas to their principals for funding, all in order to raise funds towards sponsoring traps to conservation projects with Squawk Squad. It is incredible what our children, our tamariki, can do when you give them the power to take action, when you give them purpose. They are the ones that will be here at 2050. They are the future kaitiaki. And now they have already begun revolutionizing conservation. Starting a social enterprise certainly didn't come without its challenges. While starting Squawk Squad, I decided that I could no longer have purpose in my work, but fake it in my life. So I simplified. At one point, I got up, packed my things into a bag, and moved to Wanaka in an uninsulated caravan for the winter. At another point, I found myself with an empty bank account, sleeping on a pallet bed in my friend's backyard in a tent in Auckland for 3 months. There's been many times I've had to be resourceful and make sure that every last cent counted. All while knowing that I could have returned to a safe and secure paying job. I could have had an awesome LinkedIn profile. But this wasn't about me. Penny's death taught me that I had to live for something bigger than myself. While growing Squawk Squad and living in my tent, I found myself attending more events and meetups. Living with purpose only encouraged the interest that I had in how we might use technology for good. Blockchain and the extreme amount of wealth being invested in it caught my attention. How could we use this powerful technology and extreme wealth for some real social impact? This led to a new team and I starting the social enterprise called Choice. A Robin Hood payment system where instead of paying with your bank card at a store, you simply pay with your phone scanning a QR code. Now, instead of watching the merchant transaction fee go offshore to an international large card company, Choice redirects that to a charity of your choice. Every time that you pay with purpose. I've given up a lot to run 2 social enterprises. I've given up security, comfort, time with my friends, whānau. I've had to make some hard decisions. And again, at another point, I found myself penniless, recently kicked out of a flat on a friend's couch in Wellington with holes in my only pair of shoes. I spent my last $7 on a chocolate thick shake. The following Monday, Choice secured $1 million in non-equity funding from a Singapore-based blockchain company. I don't talk about investment publicly to impress you. I talk about it because this is potentially the largest non-equity seed stage funding that any startup in New Zealand has ever raised. I talk about it to show you that you can raise money towards a purposeful cause. You can run business with purpose. The world is ready. If there is a single message that I can leave with you today, it's the importance of purpose. Purpose makes you unstoppable. If you focus on the purpose rather than the profit and the success, nothing can bring you down. When you're at the hardest of times, if you're only attached to the money you might receive from the success, then when your company goes bankrupt, when you don't receive the money you thought you might, when your family turns their back on you, when you can't afford rent, when your best friend dies, I promise you, you won't stick around and endure. However, if it is the purpose that brought you there in the first place, then it is the purpose you will stay for. And thus, all adversity is only learnings as to how to better achieve your purpose. Purpose can start today. My commitment to purpose started the day my best friend died. It doesn't have to be the same for you. Today can be the day that you choose purpose. This doesn't mean you have to go start your own company. Purpose looks different to everybody. You get to choose what your future looks like. We can either decide for New Zealand to be leaders, world leaders, in only advanced accounting software, or we together can choose for New Zealand Aotearoa to be world leaders in environmentally and socially impactful technology. Imagine a world where purpose came before profit, and Aotearoa New Zealand led the rest of the world in doing so. That is what I see. That is what I am committed to creating. Which do you choose?